We have Stanley. Stanley is on the line. Good morning.
Morning, Dipa.
Morning to you.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Just say hi to the two doctors, two panelists.
Sorry?
Just say hi to Dr. Boni Halwale.
Yes.
The
Yeah, they're hearing you. If you can just boost maybe the speaker on the floor. Yes, continue.
Very profitable.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that our government is behaving somehow irresponsibly.
Correct. Yeah.
We have matatus which are complaining that they are carrying half passengers. But we have clubs who have also invested heavily, more than the matatus. They're in a complete lockdown. I think this matatu monster has to be stopped. They cannot overcharge Kenyans at this time. It is absolutely of no use. Closing clubs and business is being lost. Restaurants are losing their customers. But matatus want to gain full control of what they used to have before. I think that is one thing the government has to step in. The other thing, the government has to put down their feet and pay all pending bills. Those owed to by the NYS. Some of them have already died due to stress. And now a lockdown for them without money means you are now going to kill a whole generation. A whole family will be wiped out. These pending bills, Kenya Power is owing us a lot of money. If they don't pay at this time, what will be the use of paying us in the next 2-3 years? Thirdly, I would like Parliament and recommend Dr. Boni Halwale.
Yes.
The House Committee should continue sitting. Because those are the only people who can now deliberate on what Kenyans want. But a lockdown without even the government taking its responsibility, I think it's not worth it. But if you want a total lockdown, it's better the matatu should also be closed because they are business like any other. It is actually the best way for people staying abstaining from work.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Stanley. There, good observation there. And maybe we can also get a statement from the Matatu Owners Association on why they're actually hiking the prices as it is right now. We know different sectors of the economy, they're trying and assist the government in trying, of course, to temper the situation as it is right now. Why should people be actually paying double as it is? Esther is hanging on the line. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. You have a question or a contribution?
A contribution?
Please be very brief.
Right, thank you. Number one, we would like to congratulate the government for the efforts that they are putting through towards mitigation of coronavirus.
Yes.
However, let us not react with panic and fear. I think some of the statements coming from Boni Halwale in terms of taking Wajiko's life at heart and consideration when we are doing the lockdown, when we are giving the lockdown like directives. I want to consider a scenario whereby in the Republic of Kenya we have Wanjiko who is living on less than $1 a day. Wanjiko who goes to the marketplace, consider like a hawker, that person who goes to wash other people's clothes is getting 200 shillings a day to feed their family. If we as a government institute a total lockdown, what consideration and what strategic measures are we taking towards ensuring that we are not protecting Wajiko from dying of corona, but we are pushing them to die of hunger inside their houses? So that is one. Number two, we should consider that as a country, we are coming from wrong range.
Yes.
That means in our shambles we have so much food. What strategic measures is the government taking towards making sure that the bananas in Kisii, the maize in the Rift Valley, all the food that we have in the country has been harvested and bought from the farmers and distributed to the Kenyans who have been earning less than $1 a day, and hence will not be able to stay inside houses because they have to eat at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Yes. Number two, about Matatu.
Matatu.
It is good of the measures that the government has taken, but why can the government come in also and reduce on cost of fuel? Number two, waiver the levy on Matatu terminal so that at least also the drivers and the makangas are able to fend themselves. Finally, we have Jack Ma who came recently and donated some items towards helping the coronavirus mitigation.
Yes.
What are our manufacturing companies in Kenya? We need to see people coming out there donating soap, donating food. Unga Company Limited, we need to see you coming out and probably reducing the cost of unga from 130 to 60 or to 70.
Thank you.
So that we live for the sake of one another at this time. We must stand up for one another at this time. We must live one together as a nation. And finally, we as a country, let us stop worshipping Corona. I think the president of Tanzania, besides the fact that many have taken it very negatively, when he said, we must rise up beyond Corona. Corona is not the end of everything, is not the end of life. Let us remember that we have a superpower, the Almighty God.
Thank you.
Therefore, my proposal would be, if we retain going to churches on Sunday, where or after going to the service, you feel that really you have been spiritually arrangement to stay an extra week.
Thank you.
Okay, we put the
Thank you, Esther. I think you can really go on and on and on. All right. I think the government has actually given a directive on that so much so that we don't want to challenge that. We have another caller hanging on the line, but nonetheless, thank you. Good comments from Esther. We really do appreciate. I think also different organizations, they need to come to the fore as well. As far as doing good is concerned, we've seen other interventions worldwide. Even the supermarkets I mentioned earlier in the UK, now the competition authority is coming to the fore to try and streamline that particular competition of prices so that at least everyone is on the same keel, so that there's no competition and the public can actually be aided as far as buying products is concerned as well. We have a caller hanging on the line, Joshua. Good morning, Joshua.
Morning, Dibal.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, this is Joshua calling from Kirinyaga County.
Yes, please.
If you allow me, Dibal, I want to say something.
Please, briefly?
Yeah, I will be brief, Dibal. Dibal?
Yes.
I live alone, and I'm not married. Neither do I have parents to cater for. I grew up as an orphan.
Yes.
I was raised by my grandmom who died some 3 years ago. But since last week on Thursday, I've locked myself in because I don't want to be the reason why someone else will die.
Thank you.
My appeal to the people of Kenya is that let us stop being selfish. Let us heed the government's advice on what we are being told in order to try and curb the spread of this virus. Number two, Dibal, I think there is a trend that I've seen cropping up in our country.
Yes.
That when people are called upon by the government to do something that is for their own good, we start issuing threats to the government. I've seen on the street whereby people are told to not to avoid movement and to observe the 2-meter distance, and then you hear people say that why is the government telling us to go lock ourselves in the house if they are not giving us anything to eat? I think sometimes as a human being you must be rational enough to weigh the benefits vis-a-vis the consequences. When we issue this threat as if the government is itself the beneficiary of it all, I think we are missing the point. But finally, Dibal, when all this is said and done, we as a people must weigh the cost of corruption on our economy and on our nationhood. If you look at what is happening currently, our kids are not able to access education. You will have thought otherwise that after the laptop project that was highly touted by the Jubilee government,
yes,
we will have made some strides in trying to achieve e-learning to our kids. The whole project was mad with corruption, and nothing has been said about it. Finally, Dibal, I want to appeal to the president on this one thing, please. Let us stop this behavior of threatening people. We have people who have come around and threatened the livelihood and the safety of Kenyans. We do not need any more threats like what we've had in corruption issues. Let us act so that the few culprits that we have can act as an example. And tell politicians to handle.
I need to fade you out now because of time. Thank you, Joshua. You said it's final. We have another caller hanging on the line from Mombasa as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. You have a question or a contribution?
Good morning. I would like to thank you for what you're showing people right now.
Thank you, Aldrin.
Okay, my concern is this. I happened to go to Coast General the day before last. And what I happened to see there shocked me.
Yes.
Especially in this time of coronavirus. I happened to go to the emergency. I decided I won't go to a private hospital.
Yes.
I would rather go to a government hospital. I was taking my son. And there were bodies that had come to be collected from the emergency place. And what shocked me most is when those people asked for masks, they were told they are not there. The doctors there were overwhelmed because I actually witnessed so much. But I wondered, gloves were missing. They were not enough. The dispensers for the
sanitizers,
hand sanitizers,
yes,
were empty. We were washing hands. And for those people, and I cannot remember seeing any other person who came and washed their hands in there, the people who were in the emergency room. I'm talking of the people who had taken their loved ones there. People do not know what they are dealing with. But even the people who know, can you imagine an emergency room with no mask? And the protective gear does not even protect their hands. It's just a paper. I was feeling sorry for them. And I'm hoping this could actually reach somebody like Governor Joho. When he starts telling people, oh, don't go to the mosque, don't go to the churches. I'm not advocating for people to go there. But what is actually happening in the hospitals? The people who are supposed to take care of us are not being taken care of. I actually felt sorry for them. And I wondered, where am I going to raise this issue? Because I have a background of medicine a bit. That's why I noticed there were not enough gloves. They don't have enough sanitizers.
Thank you.
I mean, those are basics in a hospital.
Thank you, Aldrin, for raising that particular concern, especially at the coast. We just want, before we come to our panelists, also to hear what Governor Joho had to say regarding the current state of play. And this is what he had to say on lockdown as well. Just listen in.
Why did Wuhan beat the virus? Again, generally, report zero. Why? Why? It's very simple. A total shutdown is what has made them successful. So these are painful decisions, yes. But do we need to take them? Yes, of course. They could cost us, so be it. But we have a responsibility. Mimi, I have told you, don't listen to me if you don't want to. But I have told you that there's a need to scale down on the things that we normally do on our day-to-day lives for the purposes of preventing corona coming into our midst. The holiest place for Muslims in the world has been closed. Other places, they followed suit. What are we waiting for?
So what are we waiting for? He thinks, and that is just one of the governor amongst many maybe who are applying that particular route of lockdown as well. Now, this is what we're discussing. Also, comments really coming fast and thick on social media as well. We have Dylan saying, good morning. Looks as if Kenyans heed the government call on observing precautionary measures, then will be a safer side rather than the lockdown that is looming. Also, Infantas Ngige say the same government will say there's no money in the account. But after this pandemic, utasikia, 20 billion shillings vanish. Sisi, ni wa Mungu tu. Also, we have Gilbert Ocheng asking or saying that MPs are urging the government to do a lockdown while waiting for their free millions by the end month. Why don't they also do a 50% pay cut to help the less fortunate at this critical time? We have also SK Leshan saying, very right, Dr. Iseli Simiyu, lockdown is a key prevention for COVID-19. We have Wanjiru Alex It says, Boni Mtetezi has a point. The next few hours are critical for the country. We have a potential 500 plus cases awaiting confirmation. Lockdown Kenya should be on Uhuru Kenyatta's next press briefing. And we have also Etiang Humphrey saying, I think so far where we are heading is just on total lockdown regarding how numbers are rising each and every day. And I would like to just to request for those who interacted with those who have tested positive to go for self-quarantine for their benefit. It continues to say, as we have at this saying, it's easier said than done. In total lockdown, I assure you, Wanjiku will die of hunger because coronavirus kills us. Try and be practical. Kenyans live from hand to mouth, and food from reserves will not reach the needy the same way money doesn't. This is what these things. There's so many more of them. I'll be reading them much later in the course of the program. But let's just continue with the discussion. Lots of issues that have been raised from our callers as well, beginning with Stanley there, who thinks, especially the Matatu issue, can we just address that? Because we've not had the Matatu Association, Owners Association coming to the fore to actually also try and help Kenyans in this critical time. Many are paying double, their fares, lying different routes of the country. Is this really called for at this particular time? Matatu owners will say, of course, we are also expending much as far as the current passengers are concerned. So we've really cut into half. We need also to try and cushion, our pockets as well at the end of the day. Pending bills is another issue that has been raised as well, that they need to pay pending bills. And the House Committee should, I think someone was agreeing with you, should actually be on operation right now. Not everyone in Parliament should have adjourned as it is right now. What is happening with other countries? We've seen Congress meeting to discuss even corona bills, and it's an act right now. Stimulus packages as well. This is where we need to find leadership from government and, the legislature as it is. So you taking an adjournment right now because of safety, there are ways you can actually try and do social distancing. I don't think, or many Kenyans are not thinking that adjournment of Parliament was the ideal thing to do. So there are many things that are here or that also were raised by Adrien there, Adrien from Coast, talking about Wanjiku. Esther needs that, or she thinks we need some strategic measures as far as also cushioning Wanjiku is concerned as well. And I know you took mental notes of all this that we're discussing as well. You can help me just to address them briefly. Let's begin with Dr. Eseli.
As I said earlier, lockdown is an unpopular decision, but it's a necessity. So those who say that Wanjiku lives hand to mouth, so they need to have the money to buy their daily food, that's what I was saying, that with lockdown, with the military involved, we are expecting the strategic food reserves to be released. We are expecting appropriation of any food reserves held by the companies, the billing companies and so on, should be appropriated and then distributed to the families. So the issue of having food does not arise once the food is being distributed. And remember, because Kenya is corrupt, some people might fear that this food will not reach the people. But even if anybody held back on the food, where is he taking it? Because everybody is on lockdown. He has no place to take it. Mm-hmm. So they'll have to deliver this food. So I think that the main concern has been, where will the food come from? But that should be sorted out during lockdown, how the food will be supplied. Right now, in the Western countries, yes, in lockdown, they are being allowed to go to supermarkets to buy food and things like that. Or where food is being distributed, they're allowing somebody to leave the house only on going to pick up food for the household. So that can still be applied here. Mm-hmm. But the food can be made to be free, especially for the informal settlements and places like that. So I think this is we are worrying about something. We are even worried about the economy, that we need stimulus, we need pending bills to be paid. So these pending bills are going to be paid to you to do what with it when the people are going to die. What are we going to do with this money? We can deal with that at the recovery stage when we are trying to stimulate the economy. Remember, Wuhan is just a small part of China. Mm-hmm. It's not the whole of China. And they are still under lockdown, by the way. Mm-hmm. They have not opened up the lockdown. So when you remember what happened there, and you compare what could possibly happen here, yes, I think it's something that we need to look at carefully. Those who are worried about the economy are allowed to worry about the economy. But that is not the only thing that we should worry about. We should more worry about saving lives. As a medical doctor, I was trained that whatever you do, don't do the worst. So do not do something that will harm people more than if you had left them on their own. But now if we leave people on their own, you can see that even not obeying what the government is telling them. Social distancing, stay at home if you have nothing to do in the market centers. They are not obeying that. So the only way to do is to use a draconian rule to get them to stay home. The responsibility of matatu owners, to me, lockdown will sort that out because all matatus will be grounded. There will be no public transport when there's lockdown. So the greed will also end there. As for those worrying that they have loans, that's where negotiation with the banks come in, where banks are being negotiated with not to enforce payment at this period of uncertainty.
Now, of course, the bankers have been very categorical on that. Moratorium will be there. You can go and renegotiate also, your contractual agreement with the bank as far as servicing your loan is concerned.
Because in any case, this bank, who will they be following you when they are on lockdown? They will not be following you. Then there's somebody who said that we should leave things to Almighty God. Yes, God has a role. But even when you read the Bible, I think there's a verse, is it Isaiah or what? Which shows that go to your houses, lock yourself in until God's wrath passes, then come out. That's quarantine, which is similar to lockdown. So even when we talk about lockdown, it's biblical to save God's people from this plague, because plagues are also there in the Bible. So we need to understand this. So we should not use God's name to justify things that will then end up finishing God's people. The lady from Mombasa, I agree with that. When we started earlier on at 6, I mentioned the fact that as Kenya, we've neglected our healthcare sector for such a long time, such that the health professionals, from the doctor to whoever else is in the medical field, they are overworked, they are underpaid, they are generally neglected, a neglected workforce who everybody looks down upon. And you even find in some counties some MCAs slapping doctors. So, they're saying you are to wapumbafu, you what, some governors sacking them en masse. Yet, when you go to the hospitals that they work in, they are actually death traps. They are not hospitals. So we've neglected our healthcare sector. And that's why I'm insisting that we move quickly now, because if we don't move quickly now and we expect the same dilapidated healthcare sector to take care of those people will be affected by corona, then we are joking, because they will not be able to cope. So the best thing is to do what I'm saying now, shut lockdown. Then that way, you'll avoid overwhelming an already dilapidated health sector. The only sector that appears not to be dilapidated is the private sector.
Yes.
But even that private sector, those are just money-minting shops. There are a few private hospitals that are really hospitals. The rest are just people's money-minting kiosks.
Thank you.
When you get there, they really can't handle any overwhelming system like this. I think I agree with Hassan Joho. What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for the numbers to climb? When the numbers climb, it means a huge population has been affected. And in any case, if we are waiting for numbers to climb, how many have we tested? How many health testing centers have we had? So I think here, I still insist we better err on the side of draconian action, even if nothing else comes out of it, but we'll have done it, than err on the side of doing nothing and end up with severe casualties.
Right.